Hey polish fans, welcome to another video here at Wild Moon Lacquer, and today we are finishing up my swatch and compares for my reds and burgundy polishes. We are down to just a few burgundies and reds left. I actually went through what was left and I had a few more in this remainder pile. A few of them were these here, and it just seemed like when I was comparing them to each other and to the remaining polishes that were left to do swatches of, I just knew right off the bat that I didn't really have anything to compare them to. These two, while they do seem sort of similar, are very, very different. The DRK Nails actually has sort of a brown base to it that's sort of almost a navy brown base, if that's a thing. And then the Femme Fatale almost has this purple leaning tone to it. And then the Sephora by OPI is a pretty unique burgundy and purple mix. I think you can see that flare in there. This is one of the few polishes that I actually have a backup bottle of, even though it was sort of an accidental buy. So yeah, there was a few more that I also just took out of the swatch and compare pile just to sort of speed up the process. They definitely didn't seem like there was going to be any side-by-side comparisons to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare these four up top. We've got a couple of ethereals, a Vapid and a Revlon, and then I'm going to compare these two down here. This is a Tonic and a Pretty Beautiful Unlimited. So let's go ahead and see how these guys compare to each other. This first one is going to be the ethereal polish. This one is called Quasar. And this actually has sort of a purple tinged base to it, which is very interesting. Very purple. Interesting. This next one is going to be the Vapid, and this one is called Vampires Don't Sparkle. Alright, so this one right off the bat is very opaque and also has sort of a wine-leaning tone to it. So very different from each other. I knew they would be slightly different, but very, very different from each other. The third polish in this comparison is going to be another ethereal, and this one is called Cerise Chocolat. This one might have been one of her custom polishes for a polish group on Facebook. I don't rightly remember now. Alright, so this is actually a little bit closer to that Vapid. Similar in tone. I'm sure that will grow as the opaque layers do as well. Beautiful color. And then the last one in that foursome is going to be this one from Revlon, and this one is called Divine. I don't think this is going to be a dupe for sure. However, I wanted to see how it compared to these guys because it is somewhat similar in its feel. Sort of has this very rich, darkened, almost blackened burgundy look. And just look at that. This is another very opaque polish. Look at that. So that actually compares more towards the Vapid, and the two ethereals compare more to each other. So it's too bad I don't have them slightly rearranged, but that's alright. Alright, so we're going to go in with a second coat of these. This first one is the ethereal called Quasar. Definitely maintaining more of a purple tone. Very beautiful. Then the second one is the Vapid Vampires Don't Sparkle. Not that this really needs a second coat, but this is a beautiful purple leaning burgundy. Not as purple leaning as the ethereal for sure, but if you compare it to a darker burgundy tone, it definitely has that sort of purple leaning tone to it. Beautiful color. Then we're going to go with this other ethereal, the Cerise Chocolat. It looks like this one is slightly more opaque than the first ethereal. Also seems to have some golden shimmer in it. Definitely sort of making a difference there as we layer them. Changing how similar they look for sure. And then we are going to give the Revlon a second coat, even though, like the Vapid, it doesn't really seem to need one, but we're going to do it anyways. Sometimes it does add a little bit more depth to the color. It is a beautiful vampy color. Lovely. Very dark and rich. And I can see now that it is different from the Vapid. The Vapid does have that, like I said, slightly purple leaning tinge to it. The one from Revlon is definitely more of a blackened burgundy. I don't really see any purple in there. So very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and do a third coat of the ethereals. So interestingly enough, once I've got all of these at opacity, seems that ethereal Quasar was not a burgundy at all. It does look it in the bottle. However, once you have it swatched, its base is definitely more purple leaning. So I will definitely be keeping that and perhaps putting it into the berry tones that I have and maybe do a comparison there. But it's definitely unique in this foursome. Then the Vapid is a beautiful berry leaning purple or berry leaning burgundy, and I think it's because of that shimmer. The shimmer in there is sort of this pink to purple, which is absolutely gorgeous against that deep tone. And then the other ethereal is definitely different than the rest of them. It's got this jelly like consistency, so it's a little bit squishy. You've got all of that beautiful shimmer shining through because of that. And that shimmer has sort of this golden look to it. I can see a little bit of gold and orange popping out. That could be Aurora shimmer. So it's going to have a shift to it. And then the last one, the Revlon, is definitely a very vampy dark color. I don't see any duplicates, which I wasn't expecting them to be exact duplicates, but I must say I was expecting them to be more similar than they are. So very interesting. And on camera, I would say these three are leaning much more similar than they are in person. Once you have the ethereal directly in front of you, all of that shimmer completely changes how this polish looks compared to the others. This shimmer is definitely in the pink to purple tones. This is definitely in that Aurora sort of red to gold to green. And then this is nice and vampy and dark. So four very different polishes. I'll have to think about if I'm keeping them all or if I'm destashing one. So I think for the time being, I'm going to keep the two ethereals. They are definitely different from each other, and like I said, this first one, Quasar, I think was not a burgundy at all. That definitely could be compared to some others in the purple or berry tones. And I think I will be destashing the Vapid and the Revlon. I think while they definitely are not dupes for each other, I think that I have this many other burgundies that I have some that are similar enough to these that I don't need to keep all 4 of them. So we'll be keeping the ethereals and destashing the Vapid and the Revlon. The next 2 that we're going to be swatching and comparing, and the last in the burgundies, are these 2. This one from Tonic is Suspiria, and then this one from Pretty Beautiful Unlimited is called Vengeance. And again, I'm not exactly expecting these to be dupes for each other, but I wanted to see how they compared to each other because they do have somewhat similar recipes, seemingly, if you will. They both have a deep holographic pigment in them, as well as some shimmer and some flakies. So this one has flakies, actually. I don't think the Tonic does, but other than that, they do seem somewhat similar, so I'm excited to see how they compare. So this Tonic is a beautiful sort of burgundy leaning purple. Beautiful on that first coat. And this is the first coat of the Pretty Beautiful Unlimited. A little bit more opaque, slightly different in its coloration as well. The Tonic seems to be a bit more of a deepened purple berry, while the Pretty Beautiful Unlimited seems to be a little bit more on the raspberry side of things, so maybe a mulberry and raspberry. Let's go ahead and see what a second coat does. So that second coat definitely sort of evened out their opacity. I don't think either of them, at least on this swatch reel, needs a third coat. And I think it definitely solidified the difference in their colors. The one from Tonic is definitely sort of a mulberry toned burgundy, and then the one from Pretty Beautiful Unlimited is definitely a burgundy with that ever so slightly like raspberry leaning tone to it, so they're definitely more different than I thought they would be. You do have the flakies in the one from Pretty Beautiful Unlimited, and you've got the hollow in the Tonic. So very different. I'm going to have to think about if I'm keeping both or destashing one. So as beautiful as they both are, I think I'm going to be keeping the Pretty Beautiful Unlimited and the Tonic. I did a quick little comparison to some of the other ones that I've already swatched, and while it's not a direct dupe to any of them, I think it is similar enough in tone and feel that I have something that is similar enough in one of those swatch rings that I don't need another bottle. Like I said, definitely not dupes for anything, but just similar enough that I need to get rid of some polish, so I think I'm going to be keeping the Pretty Beautiful Unlimited and destashing the Tonic. So there you have it. That was the last little bit of the swatch and compares that I had for my burgundies. After the 3-part video, I am destashing about 12 polishes, and this is the remaining polishes of my reds and burgundies that I will be keeping. So not too bad, not too bad. 12 is a decent number for as many as I had. I mean, I don't know what that is percentagely because I'm not sure how many I have left here. But that's not as bad as I was feeling like it was going. And some of those ones that I am destashing were not necessarily ones that I had done in the previous swatches. I had done some in the initial sorting. So we're off to a decent start. Next, I think I'm going to be doing possibly my oranges or maybe my taupes. I haven't quite decided yet, but make sure to like and subscribe for more nail polish videos, and we'll see you in that next video.